Hey guys, it's me. I realized that I should use my YouTube channel as a platform to talk about the current situation in America and Black Lives Matter because we need to talk about it and we need to have this conversation. I also want to say that you shouldn't stay silent either. If you're in a threatening position where you may be harmed or something for speaking out, I can understand that and respect it. But if you are not in that situation and you have privilege and you choose not to speak out, I just encourage you to even share a link or sign petitions, donate, because anything can help. A small thing can make a huge difference. George Floyd was murdered in cold blood on May 25th by former police officer Derek Chauvin. Chauvin knelt on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 47 seconds, killing him. The use of force by the police was wrong. He was complying to their orders. He was following what they were saying, and they still knelt on him. They still pushed him to the ground. George Floyd was only accused of using a counterfeit $20 bill. I saw a tweet about a white man who said he was accused of using a counterfeit $20 bill, but he was not killed over that. And that is something that we like to call privilege. So explain how the arrest of George Floyd for using a counterfeit $20 bill led to his death, because the answers are racism and corruption. I will leave petitions in the description box and in the comments so you can sign and give justice to George Floyd and his family. The next topic that I will be discussing is Black Lives Matter versus Blue Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter and that whole ordeal. I want to start off by talking about what Black Lives Matter stands for, because I know there can be misconceptions regarding this. So the purpose of the Black Lives Matter movement, taken from their site, I will quote it, is their mission is to eradicate white supremacy and build local power to intervene violence inflicted on black communities by the state and vigilantes. The Black Lives Matter site will be linked in my description box, so if you want to find any more information or sign different petitions and get those links, you can find them in there as well. Some people might try to refute the Black Lives Matter movement by saying all lives matter. That is true. In an ideal world, all lives should have equal quality and be treated equally. However, in America, that's really not the case. In our country, people are not treated equally. People aren't treating all lives like they matter. In order for all lives to truly matter, we must treat Black lives like they matter. Here's a good analogy that I've heard that I think helps kind of put things into perspective. In a neighborhood, a house is on fire. Someone sees this, so they call the fire department. And the fire department comes, but instead of only spraying that one house that's on fire, they spray all the houses in the neighborhood. Our country is the neighborhood. Black lives is the house on fire, and we need to treat that. We need to only extinguish the one that's on fire. The Black Lives Matter movement can be misinterpreted because it doesn't mean that white people being harmed or killed is acceptable. That's not what it stands for. Black Lives Matter does not mean that only Black lives matter. It means that Black lives matter too. Black Lives Matter is a movement that brings attention to the corruption and racism within our justice system. This corruption has cost the lives of so many innocent black people. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Trayvon Martin. There are so many more. Those names are a fraction of the long list that corruption and racism in our justice system have taken the lives of. All lives matter can be taken literally, but in our context right now of our society, that's not what all lives matter truly stands for. All Lives Matter was a saying and a movement created specifically to undermine Black Lives Matter. It means that they're going to ignore the oppression and racism against black people and other people of color for the past 400 years. All Lives Matter literally can mean a good thing. However, in our current political and social climate, that's not what it means. It's used to retaliate and work against the Black Lives Matter movement. Some people might say Blue Lives Matter. I disagree with that. Blue lives aren't a thing. You choose to become a police officer. You choose to take that career step and go to those training programs, go to school, and work towards being a police officer. However, you don't choose what color skin you have. You don't choose if you're black. This brings us to the acronym ACAB. All cops are bastards. This does not mean that all cops are bad. There are going to be exceptions, and there are going to be those good individuals. Here is a quote that I think helps explain ACAB. ACAB means every single police officer is complicit in a system that actively devalues the lives of people of color. Bad cops are encouraged and they're harmed by the silence of the ones who see themselves as quote-unquote good. I recently watched a documentary on Netflix called The 13th, and it was very informational. I recommend that if you disagree with me on whatever I'm saying, you should watch that documentary because it might help you bring some more information to light. It detailed how slavery and racism has carried with us. It hasn't gone away after Jim Crow. Instead, it's renamed itself in the forms of mass criminalization and mass incarceration. Our justice system has targeted black people and other people of color because our economy now profits off of punishment. The 13th Amendment, as you all know, abolished slavery in America. However, there was a loophole. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any subject to their jurisdiction. Back then, the South's economy depended on slaves. So after the 13th Amendment was passed, their economy took a large hit. But they found a way around this. They utilized that loophole to criminalize black people. This in turn retrapped them into slavery, essentially. That carries over to the prison industrial complex, as it too relies on prison labor to make a profit. Our justice system and past government propaganda have indirectly, through things like a war on drugs, they have led to mass incarceration and mass criminalization. This corruption of our justice system allows police officers to shoot unarmed innocent black people. And if not that, keep black people in prison for many years or even lifetimes for maybe crimes they didn't commit or very, very petty crimes. This is just to keep the profits up and the prisons filled. Regarding the looting, the protests, and rioting, there are also a lot of misconceptions. Peaceful protests like Colin Kaepernick taking a knee have been twisted and turned into negative narratives. And additionally, there have also been many peaceful protests that have turned violent at the hands of the police. When white people were protesting quarantine and they were carrying firearms and guns, none of this happened. No police shot them with rubber bullets. No police used tear gas. None of that. If you are staying silent right now, or you are neutral in a situation of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor because although you might not know it, indirectly, the oppressor can make the assumption that you are on their side. By not sticking up and saying anything, the oppressors can make the assumption that whatever they're doing is okay in your eyes. And I understand if you are in a situation where you can't speak out, but if you have privilege and you are able to, use your platform to speak up. Please post resources for other people to donate or links to petitions or YouTube videos. Anything helps. This isn't politics, it's people's lives. Silence is violence, and silence is compliance. I encourage you all to speak up. The next topic that I'll be talking about is acknowledging your privilege and what white privilege is. If you have privilege because of the color of your skin, that means that your life can be hard, yes. You might have some obstacles or trouble in your life, but none of those come from the color of your skin. Your life isn't harder because of the color of your skin. You should use your privilege for the better of Black Lives Matter, and you shouldn't weaponize it. As an Asian American, there is the model minority myth. However, that has given me a small bit of privilege. Even though that small bit of privilege is there, I will continue to use it and to speak up. There is also a lot of anti-blackness within the Asian communities. We have to rid those communities of that anti-blackness because many people are raised on the fact that anti-blackness is valid, and it really is not. In our Asian communities, we have to stand with our black brothers and sisters and fight for them because they have stood by us in so many times of injustice against Asian Americans. Anti-blackness in Asian American communities must be acknowledged. People of color and black people must stand together and fight against oppression and racism because it's not a fight against each other. We're fighting the oppressor. The media has also played a large role in broadcasting those protests. Protests regarding sports events have been in the media and labeled with positive connotations, so people don't truly see it as a threat. However, protests against racism and police brutality have been labeled with negative, threatening connotations. Here's a graph that details how words like spectacle and riot have two different connotations and can be used in the media to create a narrative between the two. If you can't donate right now, or if you're a minor and you can't really have access to that much money, you do have access to YouTube videos, and I will link a few in my description box. All you have to do is turn off your ad blocker while you're playing these videos, and you can watch them. They're filled with amazing things. You can watch them, or you can put them on mute and continue about with your day. As long as you don't skip the ads, turn off your ad blocker, and just keep that video going, you can still donate your money indirectly. I will have all those links linked in the description box and in the comment section. I also want to say, right now, our country does not have leadership. If you can vote, I strongly suggest that you do, as we need to take a stand. Our country does not have leadership, and other countries look down on us because of our president. There are also a lot of corporations and businesses and organizations that support Trump and are funding him, and I will put a list on the screen. Lastly, I want to take a moment to remember the names of the people who have lost their lives tragically to the racism and corruption within our justice system. There are many names that I'll be putting on the screen, and we must remember them. George Floyd, who was wrongfully murdered, Breonna Taylor, who was killed in her own home, Ahmaud Arbery because he was jogging, and many more. So many people have also died at protests, so please remember their names. I'll put them on the screen because they deserve to be remembered. We will fight for them, and we will fight for justice. Thank you for watching and listening to what I have to say, and I hope that you left with a new perspective. Speak up, sign petitions, donate, stream those YouTube videos. I love you all so much. Please stay safe if you're going to protests. And yeah, thank you for watching.